Welcome to the episode 33. Scottie Pippen in the house. That's right. Favorite player from the 90s. Episode 33 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. As we all know, we are here to talk about the waste industry. Whether you're out there hauling, demo, deconstruction, you got dumpsters, you name it, you've come to the right place. We're talking about growing, scaling, building the business so you can build the life you want. Whether you're getting in or getting out or figuring it out every day like the rest of us, this is the place to be. As always, I'm joined by my co-host from the great state of Texas, the once independent country, Casey Bubba Lawrence. What are we talking about today?
Today we have a guest. We're going to talk some trash, man. Like, how beautiful does that sound? And our guest is Jason Centeno, or is it Centeno?
Centeno. It's close though.
Centeno. There we go. There's our guest.
One job.
And you know what? He's called the Trashmitter, which I love it. So we're going to get into that right now.
Boom. So Jason hit me up. He's like, hey, I want to be on the podcast and talk about my thing. And I'm like, cool. We have a thing here at the podcast. Jason and I are biased. We're humans, right? There's some people I like. There's some people I don't like. I don't know if I like Jason or not. I don't know if I believe in what he's selling. But in the great country that we live in, freedom of speech, we want to give everybody an opportunity to pitch their thing. Because I was talking about a good salesperson. They tell me about something I didn't know I needed and I have. And if it's that good, I'll be the first person to buy it. And if it's that bad, we'll tear it up. So that's it. That's the intro. But he's already way ahead of the curve by having the "Let's Talk Trash" in the background. Absolutely. And also Oscar the Grouch in the background, right?
Yes.
Because you're right. It's a what? Oh, fuck. How does the meme go? Right? It's I can, right? Not
garbage can or garbage cannot. That one. Or something.
Yeah, that one there. You're a garbage can, not a garbage cans. There we go. Yeah. That's the one. I love that meme. All right, so Jason, so why are you on the podcast? Why'd you hit us up? What do you do? What is it you do here?
It's a crazy story, man, and thank you for having me on and taking a chance. And I don't know if you're gonna like me by the end of this either.
That's fine.
Hopefully we're gonna get there. So is it gonna bother you that I've only been in the trash business less than a year?
No, I don't give a shit. Everyone's got to start somewhere.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
I kind of fell into it. Long story. I'm not going to go through it here. But what I stand for now is this. I never thought of myself as somebody who was going to be in the trash business. I fell into it. Long story short, I used to run about 25 Airbnbs in the city of Philadelphia, and one of the things about big cities, you guys, if you're from one, you know that storage is at a premium. You got, you might have an alleyway if you're lucky. If you have a yard, it might be landlocked. Like, trash becomes a big problem, especially if you're in the hospitality business, right? So I happen to be in that with the Airbnb stuff, right? Well, guess what? Trash started to become this big ass ache. Not only do you have problems when you start with the neighbors when you have too much trash, the rats, the rodents, the smells, the fleas, everything that comes from not being able to take it outside or store somewhere properly. And it starts to have an effect on your business, meaning, hey, I don't know, this place feels sketchy because there's trash outside. There's this, there's that, the other thing. So I started affecting my bottom line. So one of the things that I started trying to do was, okay, I want to hire a trash guy, right? So I found a neighborhood guy who was already sweeping up outside. I was like, okay, look, I need you to handle this trash problem for me. I need you to just, I'm going to have these guys put this stuff in the back. I bought you a bunch of trash cans, put them in the back, in the alleyway, and then you just bring them out to the front trash day and put them back put them back when they take the trash. Simple, easy job, takes you 10 minutes. You're going to get paid $20 a week just to do that, right? Happy as a clam for a little while, but crackheads are going to crack, right? So over time,
hold on. All right. We're 4 minutes into it. Taylor, our producer, there is it. Crackers are going to crack. Why you need this company, right? There you go. Because we're getting to the, what is it you do here, right? All right, crackers are going to crack.
You
do here.
So you have random dudes doing jobs, and like, how do you keep up with them? How do you prove to them you paid? So we started getting into this, fight of, hey, I paid you this month. No, you didn't. You paid me for something else. But then you ask me for like an advance because it's Christmas, because you lost your phone, yada, yada, yada. So the whole thing of like proving that you paid to somebody. So I'm just going to let you know, it devolved into this guy making about $80 a month doing like, maybe like $120 a month, just picking out trash cans for me and putting in the back. So me having to fire him, trying to find other guys to do it. But then he got vicious and he started throwing extra trash, getting me more fines. So I was like, you know what? This Trashmitter idea came from anger and frustration at the fact that trash should be easier than this. And I can't call like a regular, 1-800-JUNK guys, you guys, whatever, because you guys have a truck, you got 2 guys, it's going to be like $120 to go out there and take out 2 or 3 bags of trash, which is not economically feasible generally, right? So I was like, well, what if there existed a way where like Uber for trash, I could take a picture of 3 bags of trash, not have to call anybody, say, okay, 3 bags of trash, flat fee, this is how much that's going to cost per bag, boom, done. And then I could get a notification when it was picked up, and that's it. It just happens, right? So I kind of baked on that for a while. COVID happened, trash problems rose up. I started seeing more need for this, like, short-term rental hosts needing this, cleaning companies needing this, property manager needing this. My lane is 2 to 10 bags of trash. Anything bigger than that, I farm out to guys like you. So what started to happen was this ecosystem of like, I started to see Trashmitter as an idea of like, hey, like Uber, your trash calls for you. Like it's a transmitter. The trash says, hey, come pick me up. You get picked up. Perfect for people who don't want to talk to people. They're ugly. They don't want to get bad reviews. Whatever. Quasimodo could do this job, right? I'm just looking for Lyft, Uber drivers, like people who want to just do stuff in between their regular gigs where they're getting kind of jerked up, with tips and all that. And our guys are making, to be honest with you, I've seen people make over $100 an hour just being one of our drivers. So long story short, Trashmitter's like Uber for trash. And there's a bigger mission behind it. But in the beginning, like really, we do nothing less than remove your mess to relieve your stress with our on-demand trash removal service. And I guarantee that when you use us, we will turn your frown upside down, or I guarantee double your trash back. That guarantee, nobody's cashed in on it yet. So
double your trash back. Okay, so you're an on-call porter service, right? I mean, it's porter service.
Question.
There's parts of it that are valet, but go ahead, Casey.
All right, Casey.
First question: how do you get paid? Now, let me rephrase that.
I get paid, or how the drivers get paid?
Yeah, how does the money transfer from payer to payee? That ordeal.
So in our app, if you're talking about like if you want somebody to pick it up, it's just done through Stripe. They go on, they select like you can just right now we just have 2 biodegradable and non-biodegradable. You select one. It's like we have a 2-bag minimum, so it's worth it for the driver's time to go.
So you have a credit card on file, I'm guessing?
Yeah. Once you open up the app, you put it in, and if we're available in your city, it'll take you all the way through. And if not, you'll be on a wait list. And then, you take a picture just so we can confirm that. We say take a picture right in front of like the address, your address. So our drivers don't get confused, because that will happen.
Imagine.
So they take a picture, and then they take the picture, they send it in, and then like our drivers will go out. And right now our response time, like 2 to 4 hours. If it's midnight, like if they do it like after like 7 o'clock at night, it's going to be in the morning sometime. But generally, we get it out there pretty fast. People love it when they need it. And our customers, obviously, they're about speed. It's not the cheapest, it's the fastest and the most reliable, because they can just, they can tell, it went through. We don't charge them all the way through till we have a picture confirmation from our drivers that they picked it up. So it's relatively simple. We're only about 3 months into our pilot program in Philadelphia. Now we're kind of getting into Tampa a little bit. But I envision the world, because this is why I wanted to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
I look at people as co-opetition. And in fact, I listened to some of your other podcasts, and you guys were digging deep into how, like, you just went to the Trash Con or whatever it was called, and you started like your competition where you're talking to each other, you're learning off each other. And I found that if there was one place, and that's where we're going with this, I see the internet of trash, and AI, that anytime you wanted something gone, you would press a button and the right guy gets it. Now, I told you our drivers are laying their 2 to 10 bags. The reason being, and you guys know this because you're experts, is that most places will allow you to dump a certain amount of trash in the dump for free. And it's usually like anywhere between 6 to 10 bags. So if our drivers have to take it to the dump, they ain't paying. They go, oh, you're a regular guy. Now they see a pickup truck or a bigger truck. You got dump fees and stuff like that. So it's meant to stay small, we don't have to invest in big equipment, that kind of stuff. And then, go ahead.
So you're doing, the problem you're solving though is for someone that doesn't have regular curbside trash pickup or alley pickup, or they're not home, like in your case with the Airbnb, like you're not home there to physically put it out and in. I mean, So who is your customer? Like, who? I see there's merit, right? I'm not going to totally beat you up yet. I see merit here, right?
Good. Yeah.
Now, like, does it fit the junk removal guy? Like, could, right?
Well, here's where it would. I'll get to that, right? So when you're asking about who puts it out, like, our rules are like, hey, it's got to be in bags, and your cleaners can put it out, or whoever's there can put it out, and just let us know, and we'll go out and get it. Right? Now, the junk removal guys. So I'll give you an example. People always ask me, like a property manager. I'll give you a really good example. One time we do up to 10 bags of trash. This lady sends me a picture, and she's like, it looks like 10 bags, but I don't know. We get there 70 bags. So we weren't prepared for that. There ain't no room. We had to go get a truck. It was a whole fiasco, but we got it done. Number one. And number two, we learned something from it. The junk guys normally don't want to take, like, you might have a customer and say, well, it's like, it's not enough for us to go by there. Those guys actually refer us, and vice versa. What will happen is when I have, they got a sofa they got to move and a bunch of stuff. It's like, it's not going to fit in a car. I'm like, okay, you can just, what would you quote? Send me the picture. What would you quote me for this? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I tack on a little percentage and I get it done. So this becomes the umbrella for all things trash. And whoever in my world, when it's fully functioning, it's really just a question of who's closest, who wants it fast, who wants it first. So if you guys were all in the same city and you just happen to be closer to the zip code and this thing popped up on your phone as an alert, you would be like, I'll take it. And then, in a perfect world, it's either going to be selling the lead. So, because I don't know what your cost per customer is. So you guys use advertising, but something like that.
So here's real quick to interrupt you. Sorry, but here's what I'm getting, and this is what I like. But then also, I'm still trying to need more information. Obviously, what I like about it is it's very simple. Like, I like the idea of simplicity, right? I do, because I do believe that everything going forward is going to be very, very heavily technology based, right? So the easier you can do it from your smartphone or computer or whatever, the better. The issue I see, and this is only speaking because of my limited area of expertise, is my biggest competitor could do it for free, because at the same time, at least in, like I said, my area, they do it already. And it only takes a phone call. Even if you miss bulk pickup, right? You call them, they'll be out the next day. And if it's an issue, and this is what they tell you, if it's an issue and it's like, hey, we just had bulk pickup and we're going to charge you $7 per bag, and we'll come and get it Wednesday. 9 times out of 10, they don't charge you, or they charge you on your next utilities bill. So I'm not trying to be pessimistic at all. I'm just trying to be 100%.
Yeah, you're also talking an area. You're also talking an area though that has municipality-based trash service.
Right.
Exactly. So like up here in Wisconsin, we have most municipalities have their trash service, but you get in more rural areas or the Minneapolis-St. Paul market, your curbside trash, you and your neighbor could have two completely different trash companies because the municipalities don't get involved. Or to Jason's point here, where I see an advantage is when you have an Airbnb where it's like, okay, it's going to be $100 a month for trash service, right? Or it's $20, $25 every time you have a weekend, right? And then also, right, like, and that, like, your Airbnb is not always leaving on the trash day, and they're not going to put it out to the curb. Like, that makes sense to me, where it's like, okay, instead of spending $1,200 a year on curbside trash service, right, for a company, I'm going to spend $500 at an as-needed basis, right, as long as the Airbnb people put it in the garage or put it behind the door or whatever.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
I could see that's what I'm saying. There's merit. The challenge I have is, and I know the size and scope, right? Jason can speak to this. Anybody else that's been on our podcast, our research is cool. Your audio and video are decent, and we know how to say your last name, right? Even though Casey shit the bed on that, right? Like, that's it. Like, I'd rather have a going cold conversation because I don't want to come in with a preconceived notion. So I do know that I started going on the rabbit hole with Load Up, right? Which is exactly this. Now, Load Up is going into the house, trash removal, and eventually you're basically a trash broker, right? Instead of ordering dumpsters and 8-yarders, you're ordering someone with a pickup truck or an SUV to show up and pick up 2 to 10 bags of trash. So
Yeah.
how do you compare? Do you know load up first, and how do you compare with them? Or you? I mean, you're essentially the same vein.
So it sounds familiar. I can't say that I know them exactly. We don't go in the house because there's a piece to Airbnbs about security with people having codes and stuff like that.
Oh,
And you
100%.
don't-
Yeah.
Insurance and all these other reasons not to go in the house. So, like I said, we have this little lane that we stick in, and then everybody else grows from that. One of the other things too we're going to integrate is something I call trash tokens, which is call it airline miles, but it's really a crypto based in Polygon. And what's going to happen is our users and our sweepers, as I call them, they're going to accumulate these for action. Call that the mining. And over time, they'll be able to use it for goods and services. So let's say you do a certain amount of trash business with us. Hey, cash in these points and get extra kitchen bags for your properties, which you already got to pay for. So there's a subscription play that's going to happen here. But the big picture is this, and I'm going to share this with you guys. Is I think I've heard some of your podcasts. I know you guys like to think and create things, and that's why I'm glad you had me on it. And if you beat me up, great. But I see a world where, a game where we're, instead of nagging people for picking up litter and trash, I'm going to incentivize them with these points. And this is kids, homeless people, whoever. If you take the litter to the right place and you scan it in the right place, you'll be able to accumulate this trash token. It's gonna solve for a lot of problems, but I don't believe in nagging the world to clean it up. I believe in let's have a fun, let's have a game, let's challenge each other, right? So this is the beginning of a monetization model that's going to support, to me, a lot of social good at the end of this, because I don't like thinking small. If I want to be in the trash business, I don't want to be Mr. Trash Man. I don't want whatever kind of assumptions people make about people in the trash business. Even down to our culture. Like I'm a retired firefighter, right? So we used to respond to things at EMS, right? Paramedics think, right? So you go out and you assess a situation. And I look at other guys as they're not paramedics, they're eco-medics. We do triage. We get there, we clean it up as fast as possible so that it doesn't have time to spread by the wind, the animals, and everything else into the streets, the forests, the oceans. And now we got $11 billion worth of ocean cleanups tacked onto our bill because we could have stopped it in the beginning, right? Like that's what I envision for the future around this game. But big ideas got to start somewhere. They got to monetize. There's got to be a model. And I don't want to own trucks. I don't want to compete with the guys that put all their savings into these trucks. And you talk about it, like they have these business models. If I can help these guys without them ever having to waste a lot of time on Facebook ads or all these other things that they pay for, they don't know what it costs them to acquire a customer. If you could do your business and then you have let's say you have 2 or 3 days a week where you don't have booked out, you could just turn on our app and be available and pick up some stuff to get your numbers for your business for the week. I don't have to worry about the overhead. We all get to share in this, and we're still under a bigger umbrella of all doing, our specific parts of the world where we can all eat a little bit and still do good together. And I think you're more into the what do you call it? The environment, Andy, I believe. That's a little bit more of your thing. So you can kind of understand where I'm going with that. But I believe I firmly believe this will work because it's already working on a small scale, and it's just a question of scaling it out and educating and entertaining as we do it.
So I just looked up my local landfill. Okay, if I was a resident of that city that it's in, because I'm not, but if I was, for a car or a pickup truck or a trailer less than 8 feet, it's only $10 to dump there. That's not bad. But here's the deal: if I'm not a resident, same standard, it's $23. Okay. So that's, pickup truck, car, trailer less than 8 feet if you're non-resident. Then it's like if you're bigger than this size and you are a resident, it's $36 per ton. Now, obviously, it's going to be different for where you go. But I think I see that's going to be one of your probably biggest issues is the front end costs for the drivers and how they dispose of it. Because here's the other thing. And I don't know any of these people, right? And you and I just met. But I'm going to tell you right now, for the most part, from people that I've met, I can see this being an issue on the public side because now you're getting trash dumped wherever the fuck they can.
Yeah,
there's no quality control.
Yeah,
I think is what I'm saying.
A couple of challenges I see. Well, first off, opportunity. In Europe, they have a very robust system.
Oh man,
right? And actually, there's actually a few states here in the country, Connecticut, being one of them where, right, they have a 5% deposit on all glass, all bottles, right? Because that incentivizes people to take it here, right? So let's tackle one thing at a time. So it's cryptocurrency-ish, like way beyond my fucking pay grade. I see something there, right? Because people will do what's inherently good for them. We as humans like playing games. We like this fucking serotonin drip. People, for the most part, hell, I do a lot of trail walking, trail running with my girlfriend, and even last night. Like, we went to a trail that was really, really clean, and we've gone to trails that aren't clean. And you're like, fuck. Like, often I'm like, I should bring a shopping bag with me and fill it up as I go, because just because someone else is a turd doesn't mean that I'm going to also be a turd, right? And also because you lose water bottles sometimes, right? Not all people are turds, but whatever, right? So, like, there's that part of me where I'm like, okay, I can see that. I also think about the analogy with the cobra snakes in India. So way back in British colonial times, where they controlled India, they said, hey, let's get rid of the cobra snakes in India. So they got whatever, dollars per snake, right? Let's call it, right? Well, what ends up happening is, in that case, their goal was to get rid of the snakes. Well, then locals got smart and they're like, well, hold on, how about I just breed a bunch of snakes? and then I'm gonna turn them in for money. Well, then the government caught on to this and they're like, well, fuck, that was stupid. So they're like, all right, we're not buying them anymore. So now all these people had these snakes that were basically saving up to give in for credit. And now they released them all and they ended up with more snakes than they started with. Right? So it's like, and then Casey brings a very good, valid point. The challenge I also see with this is you get the chuck and the truck types where, they go fill it up and then, right, best case scenario, they go to an authorized responsible disposal place, right? Medium scenario is they go illegally dump it somewhere and, like, they go to office park or office building and dump it in their 8-yard trash can, right? And then they get hemmed up because now the office managers are pissed.
Has
or
cameras.
Waste management, right? Or the worst case scenario is exactly what Casey said, is they just go to an alley somewhere and just dump it. Like, I see that being extremely problematic. Now, like,
we're not fucking you over here. We're trying to tell you.
I'm just like, this is now the flip side is if you use an actual junk removal company, right? You step up your game a little bit and say, hey, you have to have insurance, you have to have this, you have to have that, right? You have to have some level of quality control. I can see merit to, like, you're talking Tampa. I was talking to this guy the other day from Tampa. He's trying to get his hustle going. He's working 7 to 3 every day, and at 3 o'clock, he works at his junk removal game. And he's like, dude, I'll work till 11 o'clock at night. I could see him throughout the day. Yes. Yeah. 3 o'clock, he gets off work. He goes, does his networking. 5 o'clock, he goes, drives around for 2 hours, picking up trash, makes $200, $300 in a night, right? And then does the responsible thing. So it's like, all right, well, that was kind of cool. I also think I have scope and scale, right? We run 5 to 8 trucks a day. I can see where it's like, I want to just turn it on. Like, when I'm slow, maybe that's the case. I would just keep it on, and I would just keep it within 1 mile of my shop. Right? So that way it's like every truck that comes in and out, like, hey guys, you literally have to stop, throw 2 bags in, and it's $20, right? It's $20 for the end user. I get $15. Right. It's already there, right? It's already built in where I'm like, cool, I'm in Butler, Wisconsin. We're 0.9 square miles, right next to a major metropolitan city, Milwaukee, right? Top 40 city in the country. And I could be like, okay, I'm only going to do these 3 miles, right? And really these 2 miles and maybe 1 mile every day. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, I could make one different turn, stop for 1 minute, throw 6 bags in, right? It's going to take me longer to stop and open the gate on some of my trucks than it's going to be to throw the trash bags in. And then I'm going to my shop anyways. So it's like, can I make $100 extra a day? And is it worth it? Well, it's like $100 extra, and I'm investing 2 minutes per time for 5 pickups. Like, okay, like that. So there is merit there. I don't hate it. But I also think, I would just say I would expand it beyond 2 to 10 trash bags to saying then, like, hey, curbside, because pricing curbside, I'll cut my price in half, or maybe not half. Probably in half would be the max. But half would be the max if the 2 conditions: A, it's curbside; B, I got 24 or 48 hours to pick it up. Right? At this point, I've already selected my zip code, because if I do that within 3 miles, and I have those 2 things, right? Good, fast, and cheap, right? Then half price ish. Right? My single item's $125. Like, quarter trailers, $279 right now. So Hillbilly Mass says $140, $140 would I pick up to a quarter trailer curbside? Yes, I would if I got 24 hours to do it, because now I'm just going to build in my route when it's super convenient, and I've reduced the risk. I don't have to acquire the customer, right? So there's merit there. That's the math of it, right? There's merit there.
I think.
I love that you guys.
Honestly, I think. Well, it's just I think your junk removal companies would love this idea for one.
Yeah. Yeah.
More so than the general public, because this is almost the same issue with recycling. It's not about the fact that it's there. It's the fact that people don't know how. They don't know. You have to get the knowledge to them. Now, on the flip side, there's one thing I can tell you, and this is just from knowing other junkers, right? You do this one day in your truck, your pickup truck, random pickup truck. And you're like, man, I made $200, right? It was easy. Man, imagine if I could do more in one load, because now I'm making multiple trips to the landfill, and even $10, whatever. But now you said the landfill, some of them don't charge. Here's the deal. They don't charge until they think you're a business. And then they're going to be like, hey,
then it goes,
we see you
and
all
I know
the time.
That. Yeah. Firsthand, I know that.
And they did it to me. They did it to almost everybody. They're going to be like, hey, we see you all the time. You're in here consistently. And it's never a big project. It's always the same kind of shit. So they're going to ask you, what do you do? Well, I'm an Uber driver, but I also pick up trash. Cool. Now you're commercial. Doesn't matter anything else after that. Now, the other thing is me. Let's say I do this right now. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it for a few weeks, see how it rolls out with you and your app and everything. Hey, this is starting to get really good. I'm going to start cutting down my cost, which means I need to get more with less. So I'm going to get a trailer. Now that I have a trailer involved, I could charge more for this. You know what I'm saying? It's an evolution, I think, in the trash world. I think just with knowing what I know from what you've explained and from what I saw on your website, I think a really good avenue would be junk removal companies, because they're already out and about in that space.
And they're not going to cut, and they're not necessarily going to cut you out. Right now, they might cut you out of a subscription porter service. You might get cut out, right? That's a fact.
Yeah, like an apartment complex, maybe.
But the thing is, if it's an Airbnb, they don't even know who the owner is, right? Because the owner's contracting with you. So you can own that relationship as long as you take care of that relationship. And I also know I have contractors that mark up my services. I have this one lady that did estate sales. She always would mark it up. I don't care. She'd mark up my services 10%, right? To cover her. Coming. God bless. I don't care. I got paid. I would never, ever go behind her back to go find those individual customers and try to charge them a lower rate, because she was keeping me fed. So that's where the commercial account works. The challenge I see too is like, yes, and everyone wants to be the Uber of something. I can get it, right? Yeah. But between the Grubhugs and the Ubers and I use Lyft, I think, because it's like faster on my damn whatever. I think actually I had an issue with my Uber credit card. I had to download Lyft one time because Uber, like I was locked out of Uber on my phone. Whatever.
Oh man.
Uber, Lyft,
I got to put you guys.
Yeah, Casey got to go. We already knew that. That's fine. We'll keep jamming. And this is.
Hey, Jason, it was really nice talking to you.
Let me leave you with one thing before you go. To your point about the junkers, part of our system is going to be our guys tapping into the local junkers and saying, hey, you want to take this the rest of the way? We're going to split the money on this load. That's where the second tier thing comes in with all you guys. So there's direct opportunity and a secondary opportunity doing what you're already doing. So that's to answer your question about.
I honestly, I think you can get more money also by going through the junk removal companies, because I've seen the astronomical amount of money they spend on bullshit. Mm-hmm. And if they're like, hey, this is a guaranteed job, they're going to spend a little bit more.
Fucking crank they'll crank every time. All right, thank you, Casey. We'll wrap it up. He's got 6 kids at home. That's respectable.
I got 6 of them, so go do your thing.
Oh man! All right, Casey. We'll talk to you later. All right, so we'll keep jamming here, Jason. So the thing is with load up, here was a challenge I had with load up, was that from what I understood talking to the regional guy here he was in the Chicago market, it was almost like they wanted to use junk removal companies to prove the market, right? And once they got like 8-10 jobs a day consistently, they would start bringing their own trucks in. So the issue I had with that was I'm going to create my own competition. I'm going to do your proof of concept. And then once you get 8, 10, 12 jobs a day on your platform, what stops you from having your own pickup truck? Right? And again, maybe that's just my own scarcity mindset fear, but that was truly their model. They're like, oh, well, we're going to build it up. And then if it gets to a certain point, we're going to bring our own trucks in to supplement. Well, it's like, No. So what I do like about Uber and Grubhub, they don't own their own vehicles. Everyone's a subcontractor. Everybody's happy. Now, maybe not everybody, because like the IRS and the federal government and the state government and people that collect taxes are like fucking pissed. And I'm not going to get into that because I don't understand it.
They reclassified themselves and they're too slow to catch up with it. And
whatever. All I know, our last episode we talked to Eric Zahner, my insurance guy, and workers' comp laws are constantly changing because the government can't have it where they don't get their slice of the pie. And I work for the government. I'm still in the Army Reserves. God bless, right, for the federal government. I get paid by them. They pay me to do a job. I'm good at it, but I still like a fucking chunk taken out of my ass every time I make a buck. That pedestal aside. All right, so I see merit in what you're doing. I don't hate it. I'll tell you that. I don't hate it. I did not like the load up model, and I could be completely wrong. And if someone from Load Up is listening and wants to send me a nasty email, it's not hard to find me. Hit me up on LinkedIn. There's my shameless plug. Right, and I'll have someone from Load Up on. But my initial impression with them was they didn't know what they were doing. They were undercutting what we do, and we still just go inside the house, which is a problem. So yours being curbside, there's merit.
I don't want to undercut anybody. Like I said,
no, it's convenience.
I want to be a logistics, a redistribution, and ultimately an accountability app. And I know people are going to try to game the system, kind of like you mentioned. So to that, we have, and you mentioned QR codes before, which is great because we're actually going to have trackable trash bags that go with our product so that when you throw your 5 bags outside and some douchebag comes along and throws a couple of bags in, it's like, no, we're not taking that because that's not part of our network. And you can track it all the way to where it's supposed to go. So eventually we want to make it so that your recycling goes to your recycling. If you're in a place that makes organic, you make it so you have to sort organic, that goes to the right place, yada, yada, yada. Once we have that network pulled out where everything's being done the right way and things are sorted, we can start to, I look at this as the Web 3.0 model of, trading in glass for 5 cents for a Coke bottle kind of thing. So this is, we got to build out that network and that sorting and that accountability part first because, illegal dumping, blah, blah, blah. But I will say that I've discovered a couple things, playing around with this model to the end of the redistribution model. I'll give you an example. So you talked about trash valet, trash porter, right? So, part of our model, like you won't just necessarily have to take trash. You might also be just called out, and it's a little bit less pay, but to go put cans by the curb for some elderly person, whatever. I want to pay somebody to take my to take a curbside, bring them back up. That might be on your way too. It's a little bit less pay, and here's the thing: if their trash is not full, and you just picked up some trash from somewhere else, what is to stop you from taking the trash you just picked up to take to the dump and dumping it in the half-empty trash can that you were told to put out by the curb? Nothing. It's not illegal. It's just
no. And waste, that's how Waste Management makes their money. They charge you for 96 gallons of trash. No, it's not going to be full. But the one day it is over full, they're going to get you with an extra charge, right? And then it tips out. And for the record, I'm not like knocking Waste Management. They all do that, right? And even when you're 8-yarders, when you get your 8-yarders tipped, right, you're getting 8 yards of trash service. Well, it could be all just plastic bags, and they have a 10-to-1 compression ratio once it hits that truck, right? Like, and again, they're playing the math. It's just math, right? It all fucking comes down to math. I'm not knocking Waste Management or anybody, right? So what you're talking about is like, you're maximizing the volume of that particular service that's already offered because the truck should, theoretically be able to service X number of vehicles or X number of cans, even with a compression ratio in their trucks and yada, yada, right? And then trash gets all compressed on the hill. And no, I don't hate what you're doing. The challenge I have, as again before Casey jumped off, is the level of people I've had as Uber drivers or Lyft drivers. It's ranged from like someone I wanted to hang out with the rest of the night to I could not wait to get out of the car and I wish I had my gun on me, right? And so like that's the challenge I have when you're relying on individuals that are individually employed like that, right? Well, it's not even employed. I don't know the right fucking word. It is reclassified subcontractor people that have an app in a car, right? Like that's the challenge. And
workers can be a mixed bag,
Yeah, and even when Casey said, he said junkers, and that's also, it's we're not going to get like, DEI on this ass, but like junkers or junkies, they're derogatory terms towards people that had heroin addictions back in the turn of the century, 120 some odd years ago, that would take drunken trinkets into the scrap yards to, get a couple bucks to go get their fix on, right? So even the term junkers, right? My goal is to bring a professional professionalism and a level of professionalism, I guess, to be professional junk removal stewards to our environment. Like, that's where I'm at. And this allows people to do that, but there is responsibility. There has to be some checks and balances. I'm not saying that this is a bad idea, right? I'm not like, I'm going to give this like a 1 thumb out of 2. Like, it can work.
The stewardship part. Okay. So
the stewardship has to be the environmental stewardship has to be top of mind so that you don't have to convince people to not illegally dump. How many people get off to the environment as much as I do? I'd say not many.
You're right, but enough to, and part of like what our roadmap is creating edutainment for kids, and that's the whole purpose for this guy behind me.
Yeah.
We want to get them acting like that in the beginning, because they actually do care about it more than most adults, and you just got to make a convenient way for them to do it and get them into it and engage them, so they'll do the adults don't want to do. Yeah,
you're correct. Yeah, there's a lot here. No, there really is. I remember back in grade school, we'd have Earth Day and reduce, reuse, recycle, and like I got off to that. Like that interested me, and that was started in the 1970s because we're like, oh hey, we're trashing our planet, right? So I feel strong with that.
So how about this? What would 100 guys like me and you be able to do in North America just with? We could again. My goal is to eliminate landfills. That's a big fucking goal, man. We just have to build up your tribe a little bigger. That's all.
Absolutely, build the tribe. There's merit. There's merit. That's all. I'll say this because I'm gonna. What's that?
That's all I want. Your merit. Come on.
No, seriously, they're right. I thought I was gonna tear your ass up. I don't think that everything's going to work, but I'm not going to decide, right? The market will decide what does and does not work. I remember years ago, like 10 years ago, my buddy Eric was like, what if you could just like rent your car to somebody else or like give people rides like when they need it? I was like, that's the dumbest idea ever.
Yeah.
Right. Now, like that's how the world works.
Yeah.
Right. You have bike share, ride share. Hell, you can share a fucking meal with somebody. I don't know. Right. Like now we're in a world of sharing everything. And I thought like 10 years ago when my buddy Eric was like, my car sits in a parking lot all day. You think someone would want to borrow that someday? I'm like, what are you going to be, Enterprise? Like, this is a terrible idea. It shows how not, how nearsighted I was. So
we have swimming pool share and yard share. You could.
I know. I saw a swimming pool share guy uses bar mitzvah money on Shark Tank and ended up there. So, right, who the fuck am I to know, right? I will stand here on my laurels and say I have no clue. So this is what I'll say. What you have has merit. My challenge to you is to make sure that you partner with the right organizations to not only protect you, protect your customer, but also protect the environment and the integrity of this industry so that in a generation from now, you and I don't have jobs, right? In a generation from now, people are individually responsible for the waste that they produce by producing less because our companies are creating products with less waste, right? And people are doing the right thing with their waste and they have resources to do it. In a generation from now, we will not be out of jobs because we're not going to get there in a generation. But we got to put the work in now, right? I'm not going to go full Elon Musk, right? Will Elon Musk see a day that we put people on Mars? Maybe, maybe not. But he's putting the work in today so that it's a reality, right? These are the people that plant seeds in this world, knowing that they'll never be able to appreciate the shade that they'll provide when they become the trees that they are. Same with you and I. We have to have the conversations now, and the magical 4 words I live my life by: do the fucking thing now, so that my daughter and your 6 kids aren't sitting here dealing with the waste problem in our world. The solutions are in place. They're executing. Right at one point, we didn't have clean water in our world. We do now because people put the work in. Right? We got to get to a point now within this industry and within our businesses where we eliminate our need to be here someday because we're creating sustainable solutions and mindset and culture shifts of environmental responsibility and sustainability. And there's my fucking soapbox of the episode, because I get that way sometimes. All right. And I do like your stuff in the back.
And let me just say this. I'm glad we met.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. To be honest with me, how strongly you feel about it, I need guys like you to make me accountable to them. And so I'm perfect.
100%. Like, if you want to bring, here's where I'll leave it. When you bring it to Milwaukee, I'll support it. I will support it. I will challenge you. I will tell you what works, what doesn't work. We'll figure out the bugs together. I'll put in the work. To our listeners, if you're in the Philadelphia area, which is our number 1 market, total set of rad note, Philadelphia, our number 1 market for the Trash Talk Business Podcast. And there's a couple contributing factors to that. First off, the franchise that we used to be part of is based out of Philly. So there might be some listening ears Or there might be some franchisees in the area that need to know or that want to learn how to do their jobs better. I don't know. Also, Philly is a great market because it's not like New York where you can put everything on the street and curb and it gets picked up, or like Milwaukee where you can't do that. Philadelphia isn't a big enough market, but also an old enough city where they don't have the storage like you were talking about, don't have the yards, don't have the alleys, don't have the play, right? So it's not quite New York, put on the curb, but it's tight.
And the other thing too is they got, we got the nickname Philadelphia for a reason. It's because to be honest with you, that's why it's my pilot city. I can't make it any worse than it already is.
No, and I saw that. I got no knock on Philly. I actually love Philly. Philly. The times I've gone there, now the people that I've interacted with there, and the company that I used to be part of sucked, right? But the people of Philadelphia are good fucking people, and yeah, the market is prime because of logistics. Not I'm not gonna knock the people. I don't know. I've met good people, and I've had amazing cheesesteaks, and I need to go back because now I'm thinking about cheesesteaks. But yeah, the market of Philadelphia, because the logistics of the city is prime for this. There are other cities that this will be more effective than others. I would not go to California because they let shit go everywhere because that's just how they operate. Maybe it works, and maybe I'm just being totally biased on that fucking call.
I don't have a problem in certain places like California, New York, Chicago.
Correct. Or like if Casey's saying, hey, anyone can put a curb sign, it's not a problem. Okay, well then don't go to a place where it's not a problem. But I would argue most of your major metropolitan areas, there's merit behind what you're doing. I'm going to get behind it. And to all of our listeners, like this is case in point, right? I don't know what I don't know, just like Jason doesn't know what he doesn't know. But an email and a simple opportunity, like I got your email, it's like, who the fuck is this guy? Like I don't want to have some guy come here and plug his business for 40 minutes, right? But I'm like, you know what? Who am I to judge? No, let's do it. So I challenge all of our listeners. If you've got an idea or you got questions, hop on. Right, if there's merit behind what you're doing, we'll have you on the podcast. And the worst that's going to happen is we're going to have a conversation. Right, that's it. That's the worst that's going to happen is we're going to have a conversation.
So was this your first roll the dice guess? Do I have that?
No.
Okay, got it.
No.
I was going to say, how did it turn out?
No, listen to a couple of podcasts. Watch the videos I put on LinkedIn. You'll realize that I don't put a lot of thought into many things. I press the button, I say the words, and whatever happens, happens. There's been other people. And again, we've had some great guests. Pat Boatwright, he was a great guest. Random guy, he's like, hey, I'm starting Junk Removal. I was like, cool, you want to be on the podcast? He's like, I don't know how to podcast. I'm like, do you know how to talk? He's like, yeah. I'm like, let's have a podcast. That's it. No, we've rolled the dice with a lot of people, but we have not rolled the dice with a lot of vendors. We are now bringing some vendors on just to see if people pass the sniff test. That's it. Right? Last episode, we had our insurance guy on. He's my guy, so I know him. That was a simple one. But that's it. Now we're peeling things back. Now my phone's ringing. I got to go. I got to teach a class in 3 minutes. So that's the world I'm living in.
We'll do God's work, man.
There we go. Trash Talk Business Podcast, episode 33. Scottie Pippen, my favorite player from the 90s and of all time in the world of the NBA. We came here. We talked things with Jason. He has merit. I will fucking claim that there is merit. Let's make the world a cleaner place, one trash bag at a time.
All right, guys.